What if I told you you were worthless? That your life and everything important to you was meaningless and purposeless? Well, over the past several years, I have come to realize that if we look at this vast and mysterious universe of ours purely through the method of thinking that is science, that's exactly what we are. Purposeless, meaningless, worthless. Leo Tolstoy once asked, "Is there in life any purpose which the inevitable death that awaits me does not undo or destroy?" I think we'd all like to answer yes, there is some purpose. But if we look at the evolution of this universe of ours and of life on Earth and of our own species purely in a scientific light, I'm sorry, the answer is no. And let's see why. I think it's safe to assume that we have all experienced love, that we have all loved others and been loved by others. And I think it's also safe for me to say that love is one of the most meaningful parts of our human species, and it's one of the things that gives each and every one of us purpose to go on each day despite strife, despite struggle. But what is love? Where does it come from, and what is its purpose? Does love come from one's heart? From the warmth within one's soul? Or does it come from somewhere a little less undescribable? To decide which it is, let's first look back at how we got here and why we are here. As I mentioned last week, according to the BBC, the first life forms came about on Earth about 3.8 billion years ago. But how did they come about? Well, on some hot spring somewhere on this planet, a bunch of particles were floating around. And by mere chance, complete coincidence, they crashed into each other with the perfect arrangement and the perfect amount of energy as to become alive. And then, by, again, mere coincidence, more particles, these ones, photons from the sun, came crashing down on this bundle of living particles, and they changed it ever so slightly as to create a new bundle of living particles. And over the eons, this force that we know and call evolution, it changed these particles, these bundle of living particles, ever so slightly each day, until eventually, voila, here humans came about. And here we are, much bigger bundles of living particles, and within each and every one of us, there are these strings of particles that are connected in a network that we call the brain. And each one of these strings of particles, they pass electrical impulses between each other, and that's what we call thought, and that's what we call emotion, and that's what we call love. And that's all it is. That's all love and these emotions that mean so much to us is. It's just an electrical impulse passed from one string of particles to another. It's not some special feeling we have. No, its purpose is simply that given to us by evolution. Its purpose is to carry out our species' existence. And that brings me to this quote by biologist David Myers. According to him, biologically speaking, life's purpose is not happiness, but survival and reproduction. No, according to the scientific definition, we are not meant to live happy, joyful lives. We are only meant to survive and reproduce. And that is why we have things like love that we feel mean so much to us, but really the only reason they're there, scientifically speaking, is because evolution said love brings people together, and when people are together, it's easier for them to survive and reproduce. It's easier for them to carry out their singular purpose. Not joy, not happiness. All that is extra. All that matters is survival and reproduction. But we don't have to look at this universe of ours purely scientifically. There are other ways to understand and interpret all that we see, all that we love. And to understand another one of these ways, we must first understand something called the fine-tuning of the universe. The fine-tuning of the universe is the observation that there are numbers within our universe that are extremely precise. And if they were to differ even by the slightest amount, our universe as we know it could not exist. For example, last week I talked about the vacuum energy, the energy that pushes everything apart in the universe. It has another name. It's called the cosmological constant. And if this constant differed according to the Moscow Physics Institute by as much as 4 in 10 to the 33, that's 4 divided by 10 to the power of 33, nothing in our universe could have formed because everything would have spread out so quickly. Similarly, according to Dr. Hugh Ross, if the ratio of the mass of the electron to the proton differed by this number right here, 1 in 10 to the 37, this infinitesimally small number, then atoms could not exist. They simply could not exist. And therefore, we simply could not exist. And clearly, this is a small number, but to understand it even better, Dr. Hugh Ross, again, a physicist, gives this example. If we were to take 1 billion land masses the size of North America, and on those 1 billion land masses, we were to stack dimes to the moon, you were to paint one of those dimes red, blindfold a friend, and ask him to pick out a single dime. The chance that he picks the red dime are about 1 in 10 to the 37. That means that the chance that the universe was created to have atoms was 1 in 10 to the 37. It was the same chance that your friend picks that single red dime. And the chance that we were created in this universe was just as small and even smaller. But clearly we're here. So clearly somehow numbers like these have the precise values that they needed to have for us to come about. And how do we interpret this? Well, one way to interpret it is the way that Albert Einstein did. When Einstein looked out onto the universe and saw that these numbers that govern our universe were so precise as to make it seem like the universe was created that we intelligent beings might come about, he said, or he thought at least, there must be something more. And according to Albert Einstein, a legitimate conflict between science and religion cannot exist. Science without religion is lame, and religion without science is dumb and blind. So, when Einstein looked out onto the universe, he saw the precision of these numbers and said, there is no way that we were created just by chance. There's no way that this universe was created with such precision and we just so happened to come about. He thought, no, there must be something more than us. There must be something more than just the random chance that is science. So I ask you, are you worth anything? Are you meaningful? Are you purposeful? Or were you and all of us created just because a bunch of particles crashed into each other by complete chance and voila, we came about? If that's the case, that means that the universe was not created with us in mind. The universe didn't need us to be created. We weren't created for any purpose in the universe. We just happened to be created within the universe. And if anything were even slightly different, we wouldn't have come about. How could we be important in any way? How could we have any meaning or purpose if we didn't even have to be here in the first place? We don't have to look at it like that. We can look at it like Einstein looked at it and see that maybe there is something more than just pure scientific thought. Maybe there is something beyond us. So I tell you today, if you want to think of our human species as being important, as having purpose and meaning and worth, don't look at the universe like Stephen Hawking does, where he says everything can be described scientifically. Look at the universe like Einstein did and believe that just maybe there might be something greater than ourselves.